Right, so hello, welcome back to the State of Footy, and if it isn't welcome back, be sure to subscribe, that way I don't have to get a real job. So yeah, pretty much going into it, last week's episode was a bit odd. It was kind of, I posted it was about the Super League, of course, and I kind of gave my thoughts on it, just kind of the verdict and all, and I posted that, and then 12 hours later it actually got cancelled. I'm not saying that I'm taking credit for completely saving football single-handedly altogether. Of course, that's what Thogdad did. Fuck the ESL! But anyway, it was just a bit of an eerie episode, so I'm glad that whole Super League thing's out of the way. And with that being said, we are going to be talking about this, starting off with the Super League. So yeah, but probably a slightly better note this week, as the Super League has completely fallen apart. It started off with City and Chelsea, were kind of the first English clubs to do it, and all kind of followed suit after that. I remember the rumors of Atletico pulling out. That was kind of like the third one, and it just fell apart in a matter of hours. You have Florentino Perez spent 9 years of his life planning this, only for him to propose it. It falls apart in 48 hours. We'll live to see it. Speaking of Perez, he's still, him and the Barca president are still confident it's going to happen. They're actually agreeing, and the president of the Liga just kind of went out and said, it's dead, let's be real, it was never going to happen. So yeah, and I'm not saying it is going to happen, they're just delusional, really. Just concede, mate, just get it over with. Ed Woodward resigned with news of the Super League, but then more stuff came out that he was a supporter of it all along, so I don't know what's going on. Like, it's Ed Woodward talking, we're really not expecting it to be dodgy. And then, speaking of, I don't know, I was going to be speaking of CEOs, that wouldn't make sense. Speaking of people high up in the top 6 clubs in the northwestern region of England, John Henry, very smooth transition. John Henry made a Logan Paul-esque apology video. I mean, my thoughts on it as a Liverpool fan who has never liked John Henry, I feel like he really should just, like, I feel like what he's done doesn't really matter. He still did it. I know an apology is good, and he took the time and actually made a video, and that is good. But at the same time, I feel like he just kind of moved on from the Super League briefly, and then just kind of started talking about how he wants to work on more stuff, and how it's just like a blip. But I think it is more serious, and he should consider selling the club. There were also massive protests outside the Emirates, Arsenal's ground, and then outside Old Trafford. At one point, United fans actually got to the training ground. They had to send out, I think they sent out like Solskjaer and Nemanja Matic and a bunch of other like people. Like, why are these people being faced the angry mob? It's like when they sent Peter Cech out to the Chelsea mob. The man has a weak skull, and you're sending him out to angry Thogdad. He could easily do a bullet header, just absolutely finish him, but he didn't. Thogdad's a nice bloke, I'm sure. So Zlatan Ibrahimovic has signed a new 1-year contract at Milan. I think I mentioned this like 2 weeks ago, but it actually went pen to paper this week. So he's just not going to stop playing. And the thing is, I know people say like, oh, he's 40, whatever, that's mental, but the thing is, he's shown no sign of falling off. He's bringing AC Milan to the Champions League. We're going to be seeing him in the Champions League next season. Speaking of the Champions League, this new format's been announced. I mean, I still think it's a bit rubbish, because the thing is that there's 2 spots that go to teams just based on their how kind of high up they rank within the UEFA kind of rankings. So pretty much, because United are a bigger club than West Ham, say West Ham finished like 5th or something, and United finished like 6th, then United will be playing in the Champions League, and West Ham won't. I know that 5th isn't a Champions League place, and I don't know if I got it wrong, but the fact that like these teams like United, Spurs, and Arsenal, I can't really talk to Liverpool fans, so them and their Liverpool that are historically big clubs. I don't know about Spurs being a historically big club. Like, in the past 10 years, they are technically part of the Big 6, but then they haven't been performing. It's just, then you have these teams like West Ham, who it's like they don't even have to work for it, because they're just going to get it anyway, and then these teams like West Ham and then like Leicester are just completely going at it, and they might not get it. And it's like, and again, it's not like 5th is a Champions League spot. It just doesn't make sense that they just completely bypass West Ham, even if they were completely like underperforming. I don't know if what I said makes any sense. It's just rubbish. It's absolutely shambles. The format itself, the kind of league system and league table system, I mean, I was never a huge fan of it. My first thought was, it is a bit rubbish, but it's better than no football altogether, which is what the Super League will go through. Some people have been saying it's like a Super League light. I mean, you know, you have to like applaud UEFA for what they've been doing in the Super League, but then they do that. It's like, UEFA aren't the best organization. They're not like, I think it kind of showed how terrible of an idea the Super League was when you have all these like massive corrupt corporations like all coming up against it, and just people from like the fact that Boris Johnson, James Corden both started talking sense. It just really goes to show how ludicrous of an idea it was. Ibrahima Konate has reportedly agreed to do he will be joining Liverpool next season, and then David Alaba will reportedly be joining Real Madrid on a free transfer. I could have sworn we got that news in January, but at the end of the season, he will be joining Real on a free. So another news, a kind of nice, kind of feel-good story after this week of absolute madness. Rumeli Valeray, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing it right. I'm quite shit at French. A fourth-tier team, they knocked out Legon side Toulouse after beating them 2-0 and making it to the French Cup semi-finals this week. So just not even they knock out League One side, the Legon side, they make it to the French Cup semis as well. Just again, cup football, which would have been destroyed by the Super League, but we don't have to talk about the Super League continuously. But it's just great to see just cup football and just the game we love just falling back into place naturally again. It's that time of the season again. Schalke have been officially relegated from the Bundesliga, and I mean the Bundesliga have they have less teams, so they play less games. So does that mean it's earlier than does that mean that's really bad if they've been relegated before some Premier League teams? I think it does. I don't know. But and then Norwich and Watford have both been promoted, so relegated last season, back up to the Championship. We get to see Todd Cantwell and Troy Deeney again. I mentioned Norwich being promoted in the last one, just realized that. But Watford are back now, we get to see Troy Deeney back. Hull have been promoted from League One back to the Championship, and they took the piss out of the Super League, saying that, announcing the promotion by saying they will be withdrawing from League On and joining a breakaway league with 23 other clubs called the Skybet Championship. Adebayo from FENWAAAA got his first EFL Championship goal, things everyone loves to see. As Wycombe Wanderers were able to beat Bristol City late on. At one point, Wycombe's goalkeeper won a penalty. Not sure the logistics of that. Don't shoot the messenger. So Atletico have lost to Bilbao, meaning that Barca are only 2 points away from top of the Liga with the game in hand. So, not to say I predicted Atletico falling, completely bottling it like 2 weeks ago. Kind of like how I saved football from the Super League. And then Man City beat Spurs 1-0 in the Carabao Cup final to win the Carabao Cup, because that's what you win when you win the Carabao Cup final. It was a reasonably dominant display for Man City, which is kind of expected because they're Spurs. But we talked about this last week. They sacked Mourinho. And the most Spursy thing about it is they sacked Mourinho. It cost them £30 million. And I know that's not a ton for a football club, but it's £30 million. Thinking they're going to get this $3.5 billion kind of input from when they signed for the Super League, it falls through hours later. They just lose £30 million in Jose Mourinho a week before a cup final. And I know loads of people have been saying, oh, you can't just ignore the results, but at the same time as concrete and answering that seem, I still like to think it's a cup final, anything can happen. Mourinho, the magic of Mourinho is every now and then he can get this random ass result against a big team, and it may not, sometimes the league may not be a grand scheme of things, but I feel like that's why it kind of flourishes in cup finals. So I have nothing against Ryan Mason. I think seeing his story, it's great that he's in the position he is, especially the fact he's 29, and I mean, kudos to him for getting the first Premier League win. I have nothing against Ryan Mason. I just feel like, do you really want him in charge of Spurs' first cup final in a while, to my knowledge? And I just feel like Mourinho, it was just silly to not have Mourinho there after having him for 2 whole seasons at the club, just seeing all the good things, because he has done quite a few good things, I think. Because I saw this one former Spurs player saying, sure, Mourinho will follow it with some big players, he'll do some questionable things along the way, but one thing he does do is deliver cup finals and get trophies. So it's just, after going through all that, it just seemed like the most Spursy thing to do to sack him before the Carabao Cup final. It may not seem a big deal, but for them it would have been massive. City became the first team to win it 4 consecutive times since Liverpool did in the 80s. Fernandinho and Sergio Aguero become the first players to win it 6 times in a row. It's just their playing ground. Chris Wood got a hat-trick as Burnley beat Wolves 4-0. I mean, I kind of did a whole series on him, which motivated him to get and then I left YouTube for 2 months, and then 4 months later gets this hat-trick. All that motivation, seeing all that backing really spurred him on to get that hat-trick against Wolves, completely taking Burnley out of their bad form again. I'll take full credit for that as well. What I saved the Super League, I ruined Atletico's title chances, and Chris Wood is now prime Johan Cruyff. Why did I say Johan Cruyff? Pele. Chris Wood is now prime Pele. After drawing Newcastle, Liverpool still don't know how to play football. No, of course I'm joking. I'm not really one to turn the players, but then Klopp had a good point. At this point, it talks to top 4, but you have to realize, sure, you want to get top 4, but if they're playing like this, do they deserve to be in the Champions League? It won't matter though in a few years when they just make it anyway, even if they finish in 17th, because they are historically a big club. But, and then again, you think about the top 4 and you want to get there and, oh, we're X amount of points away. But the thing is, like, it's the Champions League, the cream of the crop. Like, if you can't beat Leeds, you can't beat Newcastle, can you really be playing the Champions League? I know Liverpool will have, like, Van Dijk and co, and they will be making signings next season. And I am a Liverpool fan, but I don't know, it's just interesting. And, I mean, from talks being the National League a few weeks ago, I'll take the Europa League or whatever. Just, at least it's so some European football happening. And then to kind of bleed from, that was a weird way of putting it, to kind of bleed into the Chelsea-West Ham game from Liverpool-Newcastle. So pretty much Liverpool-Newcastle, Liverpool were kind of leading the whole way. They missed 47,934 shots throughout the game. Well, they were saved, couldn't buy the keeper, hence why they weren't goals. And then pretty much in like really late towards 90th minute, Callum Wilson scores, but it's called off because of handball. But his arm was against his body and it hit his elbow, so it really didn't impact the flight. I thought it shouldn't have really been called off, but I took it as a Liverpool fan. But then it doesn't matter because a few minutes later, Joe Willock just puts in the net, 1-1. And then you had Fabinho kind of absolutely bodied Alon St. Maximin when he was on a yellow card. Not too sure about that. Maybe should have been a red, but and then anyway, so then fast forward to the Chelsea-West Ham game a few hours later. You have Azpilicueta. He didn't get called in the handball, which maybe should have been one. And then you had the Fabian Balbuena red card, which was just absolute bollocks. I mean, he kicked a football. Apparently, you're not allowed to do that, and then they got sent off. It was just really poor refereeing, which is disappointing because the Chelsea-West Ham game, you have the London Derby, top 4. It was just a bit disappointing. Speaking of red cards, Aymeric Laporte maybe should have gotten booked on the second one and wanted to score the winner for City in the Carabao Cup final. I was going to mention that, but forgot to because of me. But yeah, but then again, the pundit on the broadcast I was watching said that, like, yeah, you could argue that there probably will be some arguments from the Spurs perspective, and quite understandably so. But at the same time, City were kind of, anyone who watched the match knows City were kind of dominant the whole way through. It probably wouldn't have mattered that much. Like, Mars, they get that offside goal, they would have found a way to win, even if it went to extra time pen. So, another talking point, not too massive though. So yeah, that is all for the State of Footy this week. Hope you enjoyed. Again, if it's your first time seeing my clapped trim and horrendous face on your screen for the first time, be sure to hit subscribe. If we could hit 1K subscribers by the time I'm 64, I will eat a lemon. Cheers.